say he rock. How that sound and he still talking.
What's up, everybody? This is He Say, She Say Radio, starring She Say. I'm Siobhan J.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Shadea.
We love it. Well, we have a nice little interesting show for you all today. A lot going on in the world, so sit back, relax, enjoying the conversation with She Say. So I just been thinking today, you guys, just about how we give to others and, we would like things to be given to us or that energy to be reciprocated. So I'm just wondering, do y'all believe that reciprocation is the best form of appreciation? That's the best way to show appreciation for someone.
Honestly, I don't think, let's say somebody gives me a gift. Or no, let's say I give somebody a gift. I don't necessarily expect them to give me a gift back because receiving gifts is not one of my love languages. So if they were to just want to hang out with me, then that would be my reciprocation for them. But as far as appreciation, I'm not going to say, oh, well, they didn't give me no birthday present, I gave them one, so they don't appreciate me. You don't know what people are going through, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But let's say sometime down the line, it's oh, do you want to hang out with me or something like that? That would be, oh, wow, that would be my, I guess, reciprocation aspect, but I wouldn't look for it, if that makes sense. I don't give something to get something back.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I like how you brought up the love languages things, because my love language is receiving gifts, but it's also giving gifts. And so I love, it genuinely makes me happy when I give people things or I help people. If I see somebody homeless on the street, I give. But the thing about it is I'm not the type to show other people I'm giving to people. If I help somebody out or do something for somebody, nobody's gonna know about it because I'm doing it in that moment and what's on my heart to do. And so that's what I like to do. And the thing about it is I don't really understand certain people who like to give, but then feel like they have to broadcast it all over social media. I just feel like if it's on your heart to do, then do it. But don't give anybody anything with the intentions of feeling like you got to receive something back, or it's tit for tat type of thing. And I've had certain friendships in the past where it's oh, you did this for me, or remember when I did this for you, and you're not doing this for me. And that's just a bad energy to have, especially with friendships, with relationships. The true gift of giving is actually being blessed enough to be able to give, because not everybody can give. And when I feel like I receive more, I just feel like, I should be able to bless other people because I'm blessed.
Right.
So that's kind of just how I just, see it. But
yeah, I feel that. In a way, I'm kind of similar. Sometimes I can step to a place where if I'm doing something or if I'm giving something, I feel like, depending on who you are and who you are to me, I feel like it should be reciprocated. In terms of gifts and things like that, it's always out of the kindness of my heart. I don't think I feel that I need to receive something back when it comes to gifts. But when it comes to my energy, my time, my investments, I hold that to a higher value. So whether it's with friends or with a spouse, partner, whoever, if I'm giving my time and my energy, I feel like that should be reciprocated back. And to me, that shows appreciation. Or if I'm investing something in you, now when I'm in a place that I'm normally not in or something like that, you could invest that same energy or that same positivity or that same love and care, whatever the case may be, into me. I feel like sometimes people, they allow you to give so much, or if you're a person of giving your energy and giving your time, they allow you to do that, and to where they don't show that reciprocation back to you. Sometimes that's maybe just not what they do or not something they think about firsthand, but I feel like sometimes it can like go into appreciate, like, does this person appreciate me even though this is my best friend, or even though this is my boyfriend or whoever? Do they appreciate me because I'm doing all of this and they're not doing anything? I don't know. What y'all think in terms of energy?
I think that's too, like, I think that's how people quickly get taken for granted for, because it's like, oh, if they gonna do it, then I don't gotta do nothing, you know?
Whatever.
Yeah, I think that's very valid, and people be trying to, like, I guess, brush that underneath the rug. It's like, oh, that's my friend. They're gonna do it for me regardless. Okay, well, regardless is gonna run out.
Mm-hmm.
And who are you gonna have? The friend that you didn't do nothing for, that was always there for you. You never filled up their cup, but they was always filling you up. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think at some point, yeah, you may be a kind-hearted person. I had to learn this personally. Like, you may be a kind-hearted person and always want to give to people, but if nobody's ever giving back to you, even if, like, that's not what you're, like, wanting, but just out of the kindness of their heart, it's like, okay, cool, you need to step back and, all right, who's gaining more? Because if it's not a 50-50 situation, then you're actually losing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And I think that's kind of like where boundaries come into play. Like, you can be a naturally kind-hearted person and a giving person, but if you don't have boundaries, people will step all over you, especially like, with friendships, relationships, and, they'll just, take and take and take until you're just completely wiped out of all your energy, all your resources. And I think that's where you have to just be like, you know what? If I'm not getting something out of this relationship, then I'm not going to keep on giving myself to this person. And I think that, especially like us as women, we feel like, I like him, but, he's not doing this, that, and the third. Well, why are you doing it? That's not something that you have to do. That's not something that you need to do.
That's hard.
So I just feel like it's a fine line, and people have to draw those lines and get out of la la land and understand that you can't just continue to spread yourself thin, trying to run and chase people and try to do for people and help people. That's not our job,
Yeah,
So that's what I think.
that's good stuff.
I feel that, especially when you brought up women, because we love to be people's mama.
No, so I seen this tweet that was like, my problem is when I start liking him, I want to buy him just because gifts. And I come to the realization that people really be like that. Like, it's like, oh, wow, he said his favorite snack is a Reese's. Maybe I'll pick him up. But you know what I mean? Like, I think as women, that's just our natural instinct. When we gotta
Why do we do that?
get comfortable, okay? And then there's a problem, because when you get comfortable, then you expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like you gotta balance it. Like, if you're doing it, but you know that, like, okay, I'm doing it out of my heart. I don't expect him to do nothing. Then cool. But sometimes I'm gonna get him this, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pay for this, and I'm gonna do all of this, and then it's not reciprocated. And then we get upset, and it's just like, no, kind of what the guy said that on one of the episodes. Nobody told us to do that. So it's like,
Raggedy on that episode, so don't compare.
we're not gonna bring that up.
Raggedy.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with that, Jordan. I think that sometimes we just need to know when to put that into play, whether it's when it comes to appreciation. But when it's somebody that's close to us and we see broad as day, there ain't no appreciation right here. And this could be your best friend, family member, whoever. How do y'all handle that? Like, are we gonna have a talk? Or, what, sis? Bounce. Like, this is not what we do enough.
You know what? I think it's like you have to be able to recognize whether you're doing something because you genuinely want to help somebody, or you want to do something out of the kindness of your heart, or doing something to get someone to like you. or doing something to get somebody to show favor to you. And I think that kind of as women, sometimes we want to do more for a guy because we think like, you know, he'll like us more, he'll appreciate us more. And I think that that's kind of where that stops. But as far as like what you were saying about like the family, it's kind of like it's really no easy way to do it. You just have to kind of just draw the line and just stop. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't really owe anybody anything. And they can't, you know, it's just, how do you have that conversation? Oh, you know, I'm not going to be doing, you know, this for you anymore. I can't do this anymore for you. But when you do draw the line, you do create those boundaries, then you figure out how those people really feel about you. Because either they're going to be like, you know what, yeah, you're right, you know, I shouldn't be, you know, asking you for this. Or they're going to be like, well, why can't you do this for me? Or, you know, they're going to create all these or make you feel bad for not being able to help them. I feel like that's when you feel, or you recognize people's true colors about, you know, what you're doing and how it benefits them.
That's true. It's just one of those things. You just got to pinpoint it when you need to. And really, like you said, do things from your heart. Seriously. You have to. But transitioning a little, along with that, there's still so much that's going on right now. And I just feel like we need to unplug it all. We got COVID, we have hurricanes, we have election coming up. Go vote, by the way. School starting for those that are in college or in school, you know, people still trying to find jobs. It's just crazy. But with that being said, like how do we, when is it the time to unplug from the matrix, being things that we see day to day, social media, news, ear to ear, whatever it is? How do we unplug from the things that we are seeing in this lifestyle or in this generation, in this life? When do we just, you know, take a pause or just snap out of it?
I think, honestly, personally, when things start to get overwhelming and it's like maybe I see myself like starting to compare myself to other people for still being in the same spot and everybody else has progressed or whatever, then it's like, you know what, it's time for me to take a step back, because at this point I'm getting caught up in their process and not mine, you know? And so I think you realize it's time to unplug from what everything is going around you when you're not focusing on yourself. You know, like we mentioned before, like, you know, during these times we have really gotten in tune with ourselves and things of that nature. So if you're not still, and even like outside of quarantine and all this, you should be trying to figure out who you are and trying to progress yourself. And if all you're worried about is other people and, well, is the world going to still be here? And, ooh, how much money they got? And, you know, this, that, and the third, then you're worried about the wrong things. Now, sure, we all should be concerned about the world as far as like how it's being ran and things of that nature, because this is our world that we're living in. But when it comes to you as an individual, social media is going to be there tomorrow. So if you don't get on it today, then you'll be fine. If you don't turn the TV on, there's still a book that you can read. You know what I mean? There's other things that you can fill those up. Sorry. There's other things that you can fill those voids with. So therefore, you're not wrapped around that stuff that's taking control of your mind.
I think that when I think about like unplug from the matrix, it comes like with a realization of what's actually going on. I think kind of sometimes we're in our little bubble. You know, we wake up, we get on social media, you know, you see people arguing about, you know, this, what happened, and this celebrity, and this person did that, and blah, blah, blah. And we get so like consumed with other people are doing, and all this different types of entertainment that keeps us ultimately distracted from what's really going on. Like nobody's really talking about, when it comes to the election, nobody's really talking about, okay, the people we're voting for, like, how are they actually benefiting us? What are the things that they're talking about that's actually going to benefit us? They're not talking about the sex trafficking that's going on. They're not talking about the children that are getting kidnapped. 460,000 kids are going kidnapped each year. Nobody's talking about it. You know, the police shooting. It's so much evil going on in the world, and it's just kind of like everybody's in la la land and going through the motions, and yeah, that's cool, but at the end of the day, if you keep the smoke and mirrors and the veil over your eyes, you're not going to really, you know, when stuff really hits the fan, people are going to really be shocked, like, what the heck is going on? But really, it's been happening in front of our eyes the whole time, you know, and they keep it in plain sight. It's happening in plain sight, but because people don't research, people don't think for themselves, people just go with what's popular or what people should tell them to do. They don't research, they don't look beyond what the news tells them. They just believe anything anybody tells them, and that's how they get over on us. And I just feel like anybody out there, if you're, especially young people, I know it's, you know, you're young and you want to have fun and everything's, you know, light and free and whatever, but it's really real out here, and you really have to be aware of what's going on, and really understand that they want to make you seem like you have a choice, but you really don't. They want to make you seem like, you know, you can control your life, but really they control everything we do, from what we see, from what we believe, what we eat, you know, where we live, how much we pay. Like, literally everything about our lives is controlled. And so at the end of the day, it's like the people at the top have so much control over us, and they tell us what to believe. And I just don't think that some people understand that. And I mean, I hate to be like the Debbie Downer and just like, you know, gloom and doom, but it's real. Like, it's really things that people should think about, and, you know, just really understand that behind like all this other stuff that's going on, and, you know, Cardi B's drama, and, you know, whoever's drama, whatever is going on, y'all arguing about that when y'all could be researching and trying to figure something else out. And that's kind of like my problem with social media today, is it's just a huge distraction, and they're not putting out truth. They're not really putting out truth. And so that's just kind of like what's been weighing heavy on my heart, because especially for the young people, it's just, they just really don't know, and that just bothers me.
Yeah, I understand that. I think if there is a good time to just like stop, reflect, and think about all these things, it's now. Like I was saying before the show started, I had to stop myself. We're in a whole pandemic. Like, think about it. We are in a pandemic. We have to wear masks everywhere we go, or like we can't stand directly next to someone, or, you know, online classes are going on, social distancing. And amongst that, we still have police brutality and racial discrimination more than ever. And by that, I mean, just because it's happening so back to back all at once. You know, it was a little scarce somewhat, but it's so out in the world and so back to back that we're seeing it. And so we're dealing with all these different things, but yet people still find some kind of way to focus on whatever they have going on, just tunnel vision to themselves. And I think personally that's a problem, because at this time, with all this stuff happening, there is no more doing things how we did it in 2019 or 2018. Like, you really have to change your whole vision and your whole perspective on life, and what you're going to do next, and what's going to happen here and what's going to happen there. And it's just like people aren't doing that. And I'm glad that you brought up the social media stuff, because I always think about, like, there is a presidency, there's an election coming up, and I don't know if it's just me or what social media is feeding me to my timeline, but it's like I'm not even really seeing much about that. Or like, the focus is, of course, COVID. And then, of course, I'm glad that we have a lot going on, a lot of publicity with Black Lives Matter and, justice and equality and things like that going on. But it's just like people that aren't focused on any of those things, they're just tunnel vision to what I have going on, where I'm going today, what I'm doing. Like, I think now is the time to really consider others. Like, it really is, because there's, like I said, there's people that are going homeless that ain't never been homeless before. Or they was probably on top, had their family together, whatever. People don't have jobs. People don't know where their next meal is going to come from, or like if they're going to make ends meet for the end of the month. People are getting fired. People are getting sick. People are dying. Young people, kids. People are still trying to figure out how to get the world functioning again. Schools starting, elementary schools and stuff opening back up. So it's like, I feel like now is the time to really start thinking about others. Like, how am I going to help my neighbor or my family members, or, just whatever? What can I do to help change and grow? Black people, we still getting shot in the back with all of this happening, and I just feel like for those that are not within that community, I think it's a really good time to be thinking, like, you know what, like, we are in a pandemic and we are dealing with this, and I'm seeing it firsthand. Maybe it's time for me to start speaking on some things, or start using my voice as a person that's not in that community to really help out. What can I do? This guy, I heard that he said something to one of my coworkers recently, and he was saying that it's amazing how people are stuck in their normal ways, just anything, the way they function, the way they go to work, the way groceries, whatever the case may be, how they think. It's just like we've been living the rest 2019, 2018. It's like that. But people aren't realizing that, like Jordan said, things are different now. Like, they really are. And things are going to continue to be different. Who's to say what's going to happen in, I'm going to skip a year, 2022, COVID's still going to be a thing. Who knows if it's going to be as high risk as it is now, but it's out here. So then what do we do, So I think it's time for people to unplug from what they are continuously seeing, social media, what they hear, and really just dive deep into, how they can do things differently or be better people. That's just what I think.
Definitely.
It's deep stuff.
Yeah.
Deep.
So, oh, go ahead.
No, I said it really is. It's some deep stuff. What you got for us, Jordan?
Definitely. So, basically, what the last topic is, it's just, what period of your life do you feel like was the hardest to go through? Do you feel like your teenage years, or do you feel like your 20s is the hardest years that you've had to encounter, during your life?
I think that's a interesting question, because we haven't even reached our full 20s to know what the rest of it's like. And to say that our teenage years were turmoil, we were teenagers with attitudes, not really trying to understand our parents, and our parents wasn't really understanding us, and we thought the world was going to end. So
Living in our household.
For us to say, I feel like to say that your teenage years was your hardest time would be dramatic. To say that your 20s, the beginning of our 20s, I could say, ooh, this is not what I signed up for, because one, a pandemic, when, where, and why?
Exactly.
And then two, it's like, okay, cool. I mean, I'm about to hit 23 in a couple months, but it's like, dang, if from 20 to 23 is like this, then I hope 24 to 29 has nothing to do, you know what I mean? So they say, you know, you live in your 20s, but I feel like people find who they are in their 20s, and then it carries on to their 30s, and they know how to like live and fulfill their purpose and stuff like that. So personally, I can't pick a time period because when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I was dramatic. And I felt like everybody forget. I literally felt like nobody understood who I was, and I hate being at home, you know, kid shit. I mean, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Y'all
now
aren't listening.
I'm grown. Ironically, I'm back at home, you know, and it's just like, I understand. I guess maybe I'll say I appreciate life differently in my early 20s for sure, but I can't pinpoint which would be the worst period of my life because I was a kid then, now I'm grown. I'm just trying to figure out how life goes now.
Right. I agree with that. I think there's different challenges in every like age group that you've come across, but I feel like it's very different. If I would say the hardest, I would say your 20s because for me it's challenging when I have to do things alone or get used to doing things by myself. And I've always been an independent person. You know, if I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go. I'll go by myself, or I'm gonna pay for this myself. But as a 20-year-old, or you know, I'm 21 now, about to turn 22, and it's like you never know what life is going to throw at you because you're by yourself and because you're an adult. For some people, things may hit you later. For some people, it may hit you earlier. And then you have to start making decisions that you don't even know if this is right. Like your mind start playing games on other parts of your mind. Like you sitting here like, do I say yes to this? Do I go here? Do I join this friend group? They seem cool. Do I talk to this person? Do I start a life here? Do I move here? Like all of this different stuff, like even to the littlest things, like do I spend this much on groceries? You know, like it's just so much stuff that you just have to figure out, and you really are starting from scratch. That's the thing. You are starting from scratch. When you was a kid, your parents did it all. They showed you the traditions, the ways, or what they do. But when you're an adult, after you graduate high school or whatever, you got to think about, okay, what do I like to do? Like for real, what do I like to eat? How much money do I like to spend a month? What kind of car do I like to drive? Can I afford to drive? Do I have help? Like, you have to think about all these different factors, and it's tough. It can drive you crazy, you know? Like, you go to sleep thinking.
Oh, absolutely. Like all I do at night is just think, like just so many decisions, so many options. And I just think that like for most of our lives, we have basically been told what to do by our parents or controlled to some degree about what decisions we should make and things like that. But it's like, once you don't have that no more, it's like, what the heck do you do? You know? And so it's like,
I'll start to the sea.
yeah. And it's just like, I mean, for me, when it came to like my teenage years, it was hard, but you know, I learned a lot of lessons, but it could be, it could be a lot worse. You know, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. You know, we had it easy and we didn't really understand it at the time. And so, yeah, I did a lot of dumb things. I made a lot of stupid mistakes. But ultimately, like, yeah, I haven't even experienced my full 20s and I'm going through it. Like, because it's like now is the time where you're starting to like plant those seeds in your future, and either they're gonna grow or they're not. And ultimately, like the decision that you make at this point in your life are gonna affect you for the rest of your life. You know, whether you choose to get married, whether you choose to have kids, whether you choose to marry this person or get this degree or do this or do that. So it's overwhelming. And then on top of that, you're going through a whole recession, a whole pandemic, you know, all these other elements that, you know, maybe our parents didn't have to go through or live through at that time.
Yeah.
The cost of living has gone up. There's so many different elements that we're going through, and it's just kind of like, dang, at this point, I'm just lucky and blessed to be alive at this point, because it's hard. It's hard out here. And I don't think people fully understand that. And so that's just kind of like at the point where I'm at. And I know that, things don't last forever, seasons don't last forever. And, I will reach a certain point where I feel comfortable in the space I'm in, and working the job I'm working, and, at the place I live and things like that. But right now, it's not going to be easy for us. And I think that just kind of understanding that process and just kind of accepting where you are and kind of appreciating where you are and being thankful for where you are is pretty much all you can do,
That's what's important, appreciating where you are now, because we see where we want to be or where we came from, but it's like you do have to appreciate and celebrate yourself now. Seriously, I think that's very important. Just love it.
Yeah, I would say another thing is in your 20s, you have to learn how to adapt quickly, adapt and change, because you never know. Like, for instance, this pandemic, we didn't know, and when January 1st hit, that this is what was going to happen. You know what I mean? When you're a teenager, it's like, okay, something may not happen the way you want it, whatever. Next day, you're okay.
Yeah,
We have been
or you still get to go.
through this situation for almost 7-8 months. Who knows at this point? You know what I mean? If you don't know how to adapt, then you're gonna crumble quick. You learn that so quickly in your 20s. When you're a teenager, something doesn't go your way, you cry about it. Okay, you know what? Next day, peaches and cream. In your 20s, you cry about something, baby, you better figure out how to make it work, because you can't cry about it for a week.
Right.
You
Do
got to make
something.
something shake and make it happen. You know what I mean? And so you learn that quickly. Even I'm not even gonna say like at the beginning of your 20s, like the moment you go off to college or leave from your parents' home, you have to learn that it's you against the world. Maybe your family's still
It
there,
really
you
is.
gotta call on them or whatever. But if you can't survive without anybody else on your side, listen, you better figure it out.
Because it's every man for themselves out here.
Literally.
You got to know. Everybody got to get theirs. Seriously. So you're right about that. You do need to adapt and know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Otherwise, you gonna fall. It's sad that some people don't get taught that though at that teenage age.
Right.
But that's another conversation.
Yeah. And I definitely think that, like, when you are, one thing I learned about becoming an adult is, like, you think you kind of have a moment of release, or like where you can just relax, and it's just constant problems, obstacles, situations. Somebody, you got to call somebody almost every day trying to get something sorted out. Somebody did this with my bank account. I got to call financial aid. I got to do this. I got to do that. My car didn't broke down. Dang, what do I do? It's always something. So it's just kind of like learning that you really just have to learn how to adapt and how to problem solve, really.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't learn how to problem solve, then you just finna be like, and you really have to just mentally understand that these things are gonna happen, and just really don't think about it too hard. Just do what you have to do and let it go and move on and pass it. And that's what I've learned to do. Like, my car, like, I had problems with my car. I ended up having to come $2,000 out of pocket. That hurt me. I paid the money and I forgot about it. I let it go. I moved on, because that's all you really can do. You can't sit here and just think about, oh man, you can't just sit here and mope around. Like, you got to keep on going, because you are going to be disappointed in this life, in this world. Like, you're constantly going to be going through things. So I think just understanding that that's the reality of things, and just learning how to just take the good with the bad, and enjoy the little moments and the things that can make you happy. That's what's important to me. So
Yeah.
I just really want you guys to just take that message, and that's all we have for today's show. But make sure you guys tune in on the next show. Make sure you follow us at HeSaySheSay Radio on Instagram and HeSaySheSay Crew on Twitter. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Go vote.
Okay.
We got London on the train. They be like, ooh, ooh, she say, he say, he rock. How that sound in